like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.
This is Bryce from Patten for Metal Express Radio Backstage, and today my guest is Jason Bittner, the drummer extraordinaire known for his work with Shadows Fall and Overkill. And today Jason is here to talk to us about his new supergroup project, Category 7. Hi, Jason. Your brand new project, Category 7, can you describe the concept and the sound a little bit for anybody who's just tuning in and hasn't heard or saw your video yet?
Absolutely. Category 7 is a culmination of me and my two guitar player friends going out one night and having a couple beers and saying, hey, we should start a band together. And then a month later, when we were sober, were we really serious about that? So, and that's literally how this all sort of happened. Phil was out once the COVID ban was lifted, and bands were allowed to go on the road again. Overkill went back out on tour, but Dave is a non-vaxxer and he wasn't getting the shot, and there was no way he could go on the road with us. So Phil Demmel filled in. So over the course of the tour, we had just been talking about, hey, were we really serious about what we were talking about with Mike? Because what happened was Phil was filling in. Phil filled in for the tour, but he also played a one-off show with us at the Wellmont Theater in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And it was after that show that we went out to Dingbats afterwards, because one of our friends, Corey Pierce, the drummer from God Forbid, was working. He was bartending there, and he's like, you guys better come see me afterwards. And we're like, I'm gonna get done with the show. I'm not gonna be done till like 1. I gotta shower. I got an early drive home tomorrow. Phil had an early flight, and we're like, maybe. And then he just guilted us into going there. And then Mike told us he was gonna be over there too. So like, all right, we went over and we had a couple beers and shot the shit. And that's when we started talking about it. So fast forward to the tour a couple months later, and Phil was on the road with us, and then we got together with Mike again in New York City.
Yeah, is this Shadows Fall tour?
No, Overkill.
Overkill. Okay, great.
Like I said before, Dave wasn't going because he was, not getting the shot.
Okay, gotcha.
So Phil was filling in for Overkill. So we met up with Mike in New York City, and we were talking more about it. We're like, do we really want to do this? And we're like, yeah, absolutely. Because all three of us were, just the three of us weren't really. We were looking for something else in our musical lives. So we knew that the three of us had something cohesive and something that we all had in common. So once we said we were going to do it, we started writing some music, just transferring files back and forth over the internet, me, Phil, and Mike. And the first song we wrote was pretty crazy, actually. I know I'm roundabout answering the question of like what kind of band this is, because this is
no. You're all the way into my second question, so keep going.
Yeah. So anyway, the first song we wrote, we knew that we had specific influences in mind that were definite. We wanted to have part of this band. We said that even though we all have a thrash pedigree, we weren't going to be a quote unquote thrash band. If that's the way the material starts to go, okay, fine. But we had our set idea behind this was to be a real heavy, hard rock, heavy metal band, like Pantera, Van Halen, with a little bit of Racer X thrown on top. And
nice.
Again, we're dating the older metal guys here. That's where we go. I have two guitar shredders with me. So the first song we wrote was this epic, instrumental thing with lots of guitars, and it was in 6/4, and it was just it was nowhere within Van Halen Pantera structure that we said we wanted to. We were totally already off in a total different direction. But we liked what we came up with. So then we were moved on to the second song. And by the time we got done with the music the second song was kind of still a little bit along those lines, but probably not as crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe a little that's crazy? There was still odd times in it, but it was just, it was odd time that didn't feel like odd time. It wasn't like we were putting it in there. It's just the way the riff got written. So we had about 2.5 songs written musically when we finally landed John. So
Sweet.
that's the point. Between me, Mike, and Phil, we wanted it to be a hard rock heavy metal band with definitely very metal influence, with thrash influences. So if you're listening to the band, just think Van Halen, Pantera. Think music that you want to listen to at a barbecue, at a tailgate party, at someone's house on Friday night drinking beers. This is soundtrack music. This is an album that all your friends, put on that Category 7 album, man. That's just, that shit's fucking great. That's the kind of record we wanted to write. And I think that's what we kind of accomplished. So once we started talking singers, there was only one person that came to mind first, and that was John Bush. I mean, that was the first person across the board that we thought of. All of us know tons of singers and tons of people we could have asked, but we have an affinity for John just as a person, first of all, and just because he's one of the greatest singers that's ever been out there. And he can be in a thrash band or he can be in a rock band because he was in big 4 thrash bands, for God's sake. So he has that.
Yeah. I talked to John. Sorry to interrupt. I talked to John just a couple months ago, for the newest Armored Saint album.
He's just got that voice that fits in with everything.
Yeah. And he mentioned this project, but he goes, well, I can't really tell you a lot about it yet, but get back with me. You know what I mean? And so I've been looking forward to catching up with you guys on this. So
yeah, we've been so tight-lipped on this. I mean, I for the last 18 months, I've been so excited. I'm like, I can't say nothing. I'm like, I can't sit. Like, I got a new thing going. Who's in it? I'm like, I can't talk about it yet. But there was people that
you gotta sit on your hands all this time, right?
Right. There were people that knew for a while that me, Mike, and Phil were doing something, but had no idea that Bush and Jack were involved with us.
Yeah.
So once we got into it, we're like, all right, well, let's just ask John. And then we're like, all right, well, who's going to ask him? I'm like, well, Phil, I said, we both have his number, but you're probably closer with him than I am. So you call him. So Phil called him and asked him if he'd be interested in listening to some stuff. Don't want to put any pressure on you. So we sent him what we had. And he was like, I really like that stuff. He goes, I'm really digging it. He goes, although I don't know what to do with the first song. I don't even know where I'd sing over it. So long story short is that first Crazy song didn't even make the record because it was out there. So maybe but shit, after Ed or Stormin, with the instrumental we have on this record, we might bring that last tune back on the next album as another instrumental. Who knows?
Yeah, or bonus track somewhere.
Yeah, so anyways, so John was in. He's like, let me start, coming up with some ideas. And then he wrote then he wrote lyrics to one song, sent it back, and we were like, holy shit. Then he wrote lyrics to like another song, like right after, sent it back. We were like, holy shit again. And like all of a sudden, they just started coming. And it was, I don't know if I want to do this. Then it was maybe I'm interested. Then it was like, yeah, I'm full on in. And then the tunes just were coming one after another. And in the meantime, I had reached out to Jack and I had just said, hey, got a question for you. Not sure how much free time you got, but was interested if you'd want to be in a band with me, Phil, Mike Orlando, and that guy named Bush. And he just wrote back, absolutely. Oh,
amazing.
So there you go. So that was it. Then the band was rounded out and, onward from there.
So basically the songs kind of started out with you three guys working on it and then bouncing things off of John.
Yeah, we would get the musical ideas together, and then once we were pretty settled with how the arrangement was going to be, unless John had any suggestions along the way, like hey, extend that chorus a couple times more or shorten whatever. If we hadn't heard anything, we would just proceed with getting the music done, and as soon as we finished that, we would just hand it off. And if there was no changes he wanted to do to the arrangement, we just waited for him to do vocals, and we would get stuff back. And he would always be like, well, if you guys have any suggestions, and we're all like, nope, awesome. Don't know how you can make that any more awesome.
We'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. And then, Jack just started learning stuff, and eventually we got the record done. We did it. I did the drums last, like literally as soon as Overkill got back from our summer tour last year. We wrapped up on I think July 30th, and then we had the show with Metallica August 6th. And then 2 weeks later, I was in New York doing my drums with Mike. So we tracked drums at the end of August.
Mhm.
John came down to do vocals in September, and Jack came in October to finish up to do the bass. And obviously, Mike did all this stuff right there at his studio, and Phil flew his guitars in. He did his stuff in his studio in California, but he did do some stuff when he was out there with us too. He did do some solos there at the studio. So it's kind of cool that even though we all live in different parts of the country, we all still recorded this record at the same spot.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that because so many bands these days end up, each guy's recording their parts at their home studio, and then except maybe a lot of times the drummer goes into a big studio because of the production and things that is harder to do at home when you're recording drums live and all that
and
stuff.
you just want a bigger, you want the right room and acoustics for drums anyways.
Yeah, for sure.
I do tons of sessions right here in my studio. Literally, this is a stall in my garage that's converted, and it's fine. It's fine.
It looks great.
Fine for doing people's demos or little sessions, but it's not fine for doing the next Overkill record. That's when I move out and I move into my friend's studio 45 minutes away because it's a proper recording studio with a real drum room, just so you can get those acoustics and stuff.
Right. That makes tons of sense. So I was gonna say I love the new song "Exhausted" and the video. Can you talk about like making the video or anything about that?
Yeah, I'm exhausted right now from doing drum playthroughs of that song, like about an hour.
How many drum playthroughs?
I did that one and I did In Stitches today. So I've got as soon as we're done with this, I start editing down all the footage and then I'll send it to Mike and he'll put it together.
Oh, is that one so Exhausted's not out on video yet? Or
not playthroughs. The music video's out, but
but you're doing playthroughs on it, right?
Yeah, we're doing individual instrumental playthroughs. Phil and Mike did one for In Stitches last week. And I did one for In Stitches, but then Mike was like, "Well, you only gave me one camera." I'm like, "Yeah, so what? It's just a playthrough at my house." Like, "Oh, you gotta do like 4 cameras. Like, people want to see the feet and everything else." I'm like, "This isn't a music video." I'm like, so today it actually took me more time today to set the cameras up and get all the angles and all that shit than it did for me to record the songs and to do 3 takes of each song. It took me more time to just set the stuff up than it did to play.
That's hilarious.
Exhausted is the new song that just got released, the second video. If you can't tell by the video, we did that one in front of a green screen.
I can tell.
All the images are in there. It's kind of funny though, because like when we were shooting it, I'm like, all right, I'm just sitting there. I have no idea what's going to be behind me in this whole thing. Like I had no idea what the concept for the video was. I'm like, all right, green screen, just play the song, get the drum part right. So yeah, it looks pretty cool.
For sure.
I love John's chorus to this song. This is probably one of the top 3 for me as far as being memorable. The first time even my wife, the first time I played her this song, she goes, "That chorus is really I already remember it." And she's not like a muso with things like that, but she's already humming it. And I'm like, if she remembers it and she's already humming it, that's the earworm right there, So
yeah. First time I heard it, first time I saw the video here just a few days ago, I was just like, man, awesome song.
Yeah,
really great.
I'm still like, no one in this band when we put this together, no one had any idea of like, oh, super group or anything like that. I mean, it's not that. I mean, yeah, I guess you could call it that because we're all established people in the business. I mean, I think it's really just a veteran band. It's a band full of veterans that have been doing this for a long time, who have a mutual admiration for each other personally and professionally, and have wanted to play with each other for years. And finally we've got the time to do it, and it's, if anything, it's not a side project. I don't look at this as a side project of any means. This is a full on band to me.
Great. And if you don't want to call it a super group, you can certainly say that there's a strong resume for all the players.
Absolutely, that's a good way to put it. Yep.
Really strong. So, is there a tour in the works?
Pedigree.
Yeah. Is there a tour in the works?
There is. There's some talk of either support for a bigger act, but there's also talk of possibly us just going out and headlining on our own.
Yeah.
So either way, we're looking at probably October of this year.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, would love to see that.
Plan, and that's what we're hoping for.
Right. So what's next on the list for the band? Like what else do we got coming in 2024?
Next on my list of things, we start vocals for the Shadows Fall new stuff Thursday. So I'll be heading out to Massachusetts Thursday and Friday just to be a fly on the wall and see what Brian's got up his sleeve. Then Shadows Fall goes to play Incarceration, the Incarceration Festival at Ohio State Penitentiary, which is the 19th through the 21st of July. We play the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just trying to visualize my calendar in my head. Then a week after that, I go to Europe for 2 festivals with Overkill, Portugal and Romania, I believe. And then back home, have a few shows that I can't talk about in August yet because they haven't been announced with Shadows Fall, but that is coming. And then there's a tour with Overkill August 30th through September 16th, followed by the New England Metal Fest with Overkill on September 21st. Shadows Falls. It's hard to keep this all in check here.
No, it's cool.
Aftershock Festival and some shows on the West Coast in early October. And then probably as soon as I get back from that will be the Category 7 tour. And the year will end December 21st with Shadows Fall at the Palladium for a War Within 20th anniversary show.
Yeah. Do you have any shows that you know of up Portland, Oregon?
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Nothing.
I'll keep my ears out because I live in Vancouver, not Vancouver, BC, but Vancouver, Washington, right across the river from Portland. So
awesome. I love Portland, so I hope.
Yeah, it's
got a lot of friends. I have actually one of my very, very good friends is a promoter in Portland.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, the music scene's always been great here. It's changed, and it always, like probably everywhere else, changes all the time. But there's always been a really good metal base of fans here. So
yeah, I've got a good friend of mine, Toby, who was a drummer in Portland and played about 40 bands out there. He used to take off me.
Yeah, what's his bands? Just a couple.
I don't remember. Toby Lugo's his name.
Yeah.
He's probably going to be mad at me that I don't remember any of the million bands he played in, but
I probably would have heard of him. I was just curious. So
probably. I mean, he had some pretty busy things in the area. So
awesome. Well, is there anything that we missed, Jason? Any shout outs you want to give? Anything you want to say that we didn't cover already?
No, I think that's pretty much it. The Category 7 record comes out July 26th. You can pre-order it now on Metal Blade Records. And please support the band, and we look forward to seeing you once we get out there.
Awesome. Now I assume it's coming out in downloads, CD, and vinyl?
Yep. All those are already up for pre-order at the website.
Fantastic. Well, I really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me here for Metal Express Radio. And everybody really needs to check out Category 7. Look at the videos. Look them up on YouTube, pre-order the music, because the best way to support bands is to get physical content. That's how I feel about it. Call it a trophy, call it whatever you want, but get something in your hands that you can keep.
I like having the physical CD in my hand. I like being able to look at the liner notes.
Yeah, I do that for every album that I buy, and then I rip it to MP3s and put away my perfect copy most of the time.
Yeah. Yep.
and just that way I can always have it on hand on all my devices. But I've got that physical thing, and the band got some money for their work,
Yep.
So,
Right.
All righty. Well, thanks again, Jason, and look forward to seeing you guys on the road.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
If you like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.